Hi, I'm Carlin Borisenko. In early 2020, I was the knitting Democrat who accidentally went viral on the internet for going to a Trump rally and then left the party. I became the conservative darling, was on all the shows, traveled around the country, and then realized that conservatives were no better than Democrats. If there's one thing that I've learned, it's that both political tribes are two sides of the same coin. But it wasn't all bad. On my journey, I became obsessed with understanding the woke ideology and the culture war. I broke the story of the city of Seattle doing segregated training with its employees.
How bad has this stuff become? The city of Seattle has now put out, I'm not kidding you, this is according to Dr. Carolyn Borisenko, who's an organizational psychologist. The city of Seattle asked its white employees to voluntarily spend a day off in a training about their internalized racial superiority.
I broke the story that led to the first ever federal lawsuit against critical race theory in the schools. I broke the Coke Be Less White story, one of the biggest anti-woke stories of all time. It got over 30 million views. Coca-Cola's corporate headquarters even had to change their outgoing voicemail.
Throughout the past few days, you may have seen inaccurate reporting on the content of our recently launched diversity, equity, and inclusion training program.
I exposed the schools in Burlington, Vermont for grooming middle school children live on the internet. They called me an unwoke cult leader for that. And the Vermont Human Rights Commission slandered me publicly as being a hate channel. I even got called a hero in Breitbart for exposing that the Washington Post was writing a hit piece on Christopher Rufo. I have broken story after story after story about what's going on in the public schools, from Cambridge, Massachusetts, to autistic sex education, to the Department of Education in Michigan, literally training teachers all over the state how to groom children. I wrote a book called Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against the woke insanity in your life. I host a podcast all about fighting back, and I'm downloading all of my knowledge to you on my Substack, carlin.substack.com. The world is a crazy place. We are literally surrounded by cults on all sides. On this show, we're going to do a deep dive into all aspects of the culture war, and I will show you the dark, dystopian underbellies on both sides. Here are the commitments I'll make to you. I will always tell you the truth. I will always bring you receipts. And if you stick with me, I promise you will see the world differently. Welcome to the cult. Please mount that like button for me and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Spy Stream. For those who have never been to a Spy Stream before, Spy Stream are usually reserved now for my supporter community. In fact, my supporter community has done not one, not two, but 3 Spy Streams this week where we have gone inside a live woke training, live in their private spaces where they don't think we are. And we listen to what they have to say. We do not disrupt them. We listen to what they have to say when they think that no one is paying attention. But because I've been preempting some normal streams this week, I did want to show some love to people who have not yet joined my supporter community to give you a little taste of what you're missing out on. Because Spy Stream is honestly, truly like one of the best perks. You get to go to so much stuff. And we've got a really good, guys, I'm just going to tell you what, we've got a really good supporter Spy Stream coming up next week. Really, really, you're not going to want to miss this one. It's going to be epic. Tayton says, how was the CRT one? I missed it. It was good. There are going to be some clips coming out of that. Naruto says, Ben Shapiro versus Candace Owens. Fight. In all fairness, Candace Owens would destroy Ben Shapiro in an actual fight. True, Naruto, true. We're not talking about that right now, though. We are talking about the queer socialist training that we are going to be attending in hopefully 10 minutes if they're on time. And the reason I'm doing this one publicly is I want to give people a little bit of a taste of what these are like, just in case you've never done it before, because they're a fun time. Let me show you what we're going to be watching tonight, and then we will talk about the rules and guidelines of Spy Stream, because it is a little bit different. We are going to be visiting our friends at the Democratic Socialists of America. Now, we don't normally watch the Democratic Socialists of America because they aren't real socialists. They're still too close to capitalism for us. We only watch real socialists on this channel. But occasionally, the Democratic Socialists of America do things that are interesting. And tonight, they're doing one of those things. They're holding a training called Still Here, Still Queer. Queer Socialist Work in the DSA. The Queer Socialist Working Group invites you to hear from DSA chapters engaged in the struggle for queer rights and liberation. The Queer Socialist Working Group is bringing together chapters to talk about how effectively campaigning for queer rights as a DSA chapter and how to build power in the queer rights movement and continue the struggle for socialism. We will hear from chapters who have engaged in their local pride events, bringing queer solidarity into their unions, and are leading campaigns for queer people at the municipal level. As a reminder, queer is not about being gay. Queer is not about being trans. Queer is only and exclusively a far left political ideology. That's it. And so we're going to hear them talk about that tonight. Now, a couple rules for Spy Stream. If you have never been to one of my Spy Streams before, we got to get these in just in case they start early, which they do occasionally. This is a live training. This is live. I cannot pause. I cannot fast forward. I cannot rewind. I cannot fix any technical issues they might have. I can't fix any volume issues. If the volume is low, I'm going to reference you to your personal volume button on your personal computer because it's not something I can help you out with tonight. Put on a pair of headphones. It really helps out. I do not know what they're going to say. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to find out that I'm streaming their shit midstream and kick me out. Of course, I'm not registered under my real name, but you know, that's beside the point. I don't know if they're going to find out that I'm streaming midstream and call me out or cancel the training entirely. There have been trainings that have literally found out I was streaming them midstream and just canceled the entire training. I don't know what they're going to do, guys. We got to be flexible. We got to go with the flow. And that's just the way Spy Stream works. So I don't want to hear any complaining. I don't want to hear any whining. Fix your own damn volume issues. I've got other things to worry about. Number 2, I will not do commentary over the training because I can't fast forward. I can't pause. I can't rewind. I want to be able to hear what they're saying. I want you to be able to hear what they're saying. But what I will do is chat in my comments. So you're going to be able to see them in the chat over on YouTube at least, and I may display them on the screen. I may not. I usually do try to, but if I'm trying to record a specific part of the presentation, I might not just for reasons, but I will chat them in and display them on the screen, and that's how I do my commentary. If you have comments about the training, please feel free to chat those in as well. Sometimes I display your comments on the screen. And if you do super chat in, if it is an opportune time in the middle of the presentation, I will display your super chat on the screen. Otherwise, I will honor it at the end when we're all done, and I will read it out loud. So I do appreciate the support, obviously. And but I can't. Again, we're not this. The point of Spy Stream is to actually see the training and to listen to the training. And guys, listening is key. We're not being disruptive. We're not going to cause problems. I'm not going to throw shit in their chat. I'm not going to ask questions that are too disruptive. I might ask questions. I'm not going to ask questions that are disruptive. And so this is about listening and understanding what these people are saying, what they're talking about, and all that good stuff. So that's what we're doing for Spy Stream today. Now, as a reminder, if you want to get invited to my normal Spy Streams, which again are supporter only, you can head over to my my Substack, which is Carlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. This is my main content hub on the internet. It's where all my latest and greatest stuff is, and it is where you can find the recording of the Spy Stream that we just did a couple minutes ago, because we did a Spy Stream right before this, which was listening into a leftist training talking about the backlash against critical race theory. They complained about Chris Rufo for like half an hour. Seriously? Like, we got some good clips out of that one that I'm hopefully going to be putting out a little bit later tonight or tomorrow at the latest. But you can catch the video of it right now if you become a supporter on my Substack for $8 a month, $80 a year. And not only are you going to get that Spy Stream, you're going to get the one we're doing next week. Next week, we are venturing into the world of sex-positive activism. And that's the only clue I'm going to give you. Next week's Spy Stream is not safe for work. I'm going to tell you that right now. We are doing our very first ever not safe for work live stream. Not tonight. I think tonight's going to be fine. But next week, we're going to do some not safe for work, because a lot of socialists are involved in the kink community and the polyamory community, and there's all sorts of socialist stuff going on there. And I have to admit, my intrigue has been piqued. We're going to have sexy, I should change it to sexy Spy Stream because it's going to be sexy. It's going to be great, though. And of course, if you do become a supporter on my Substack today, you will be able to fund my biggest woke training of all time, or woke infiltration of woke trading of all time. There we go. When you support my work today, you are going to be able to attend live a multi-day teacher training infiltration. It's going to happen before the end of the year. I'm not going to tell you exactly when it's going to happen because I'm not giving away the surprise, but this is the big one, guys. This is the mother load. Maybe literally. This is going to be one of the most insane woke training infiltrations I've ever done. We're going to really see the good stuff out of this one, and you're going to have the opportunity to join me live when you become a supporter on my Substack. I do have a goal of getting to 200 new paid supporters by the end of the year, which means 100 in the month of November, 100 in the month of December, just to make it even. We are about halfway through the month of November, and I think I'm like 65% of the way to the November goal. So we're making really good progress. But guys, we need to hit that number by the end of the year, because if I don't have people supporting my work, that means this stuff is not going to happen anymore. We are no longer going to be funding infiltrations out of the savings bank of Carlin's savings account. All right. So I need people to step up. If you want these woke infiltrations to continue, they do cost money. There's multiple people involved. There's planning. There's technology. Sometimes there's travel. Sometimes there's not travel, just depending. But they really do cost money. And I'm looking to my supporters, the people who take advantage of this stuff, the people who steal my journalism and then purport it as their own. The funding's got to come from somewhere, guys. So $8 a month, $80 a year. I promise you will get so much in perks. It's going to make your mind explode with all of the woke trainings and the bullshit and the nonsense that you will be in on the ground floor of. You can sign up for that right now over on my Substack at Carlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. All right. We are just waiting for the spy stream to get started. We are waiting. I can't tell you that, Sassy. What I can tell you, it is the largest infiltration I have ever done, multi-day, and you will find out what it is when you support me on the Substack. Like, I can't, guys, like, the whole point of this is to go undercover. You guys understand that, right? Like, I can't tell you what it is. But it's a good one. There are people that know. People in my supporter community, some of them know what it is. People in my supporter community that know what the big woke training infiltration is. Like, just let them know, like, that it's awesome, okay? Don't tell them what it is. Don't tell them when it is. Don't give any clue as to the subject matter. Tonight is a spy stream. So, yeah. Snitches get stitches. Those who know what we're doing for the infiltration. Oh.
Recording in progress.
We're live. Shh. They aren't saying anything, just so you guys know. We're literally just all sitting here. That's why there's no sound. Rottweiler, if you're still here, can you chat in, please? Yes, that is my dog barking in the background. I don't know what's going on downstairs, but my dog is unhappy about it. I feel so awkward. This is like when you're in a dance in middle school. Oh, there's music. Ooh. Why are they doing this? I'm gonna mute their asses in a second. Hang on. Volume settings. Hang on. Okay, the music is off. Hopefully they get started. This is like awkward, like a middle
Work a
school.
lot better if I unmuted, wouldn't it? Good evening, everybody. We're glad you're here. We're very excited about this. Thank you for joining us. And if you don't mind, right at the top here, I'm going to thank everybody who worked very hard to make this happen. So this is the Still Here, Still Queer event, organized and hosted by the National Queer Socialist Working Group from DSA. I'm very excited to be a member of that group. We're going to talk about you all being members of that group. So if we'll go on and to the next slide, it shows a map of the U.S. So this gives us some idea of the trans bills that are in effect now. You can see was that 3 states with 35 plus bills introduced. We all know that it's been a terrible couple of years in certain parts of the country for trans rights, or other types of bodily autonomy rights, but particularly trans rights. I'm from Tennessee, where they've been trying to essentially make trans people illegal for years now. If we'll go on to the next slide, please. There we go. So, of course, a lot of attention on Florida the last few years with DeSantis and Don't Say Gay and outlawing trans care, particularly for minors. I mean, we're in Florida. We're at the place where it's not clear what happens to people that just visit the state with their family. are their kids going to be taken away when they visit the state because they're supportive of their children? Um, Tennessee, they've allowed it to proceed with outlawing any kind of trans care for minors, and it was written as medical care, or it's often talked about as if it's for medical care, but the law itself is actually rather vague, and it's not clear if social transitioning counts, and it's purposefully vague. So it puts you in a position where you have to distrust your neighbors. It also puts you in a position where if you travel out of state for healthcare and come home, once you're back across the border, what you're doing is illegal again. So, what position are you in there? Doesn't seem to be a good one. Good one for us. If we could go on to the next slide, please. So, if we're very clear about what's going on, neoliberal capitalism is failing all of us in various directions. Women in general, people of color in general. I really never expected to be at a point in my lifetime where history was being outlawed, just plain American history. I mean, we're at a dangerous place. We're queer people. We're very used to fighting, and we're very used to the stigma that's placed on us. And it sometimes, we have to work to remember that these big struggles that we're being put under are part of fascism growing, and that neoliberal capitalism has for generations refused to address it. Even our so-called liberal friends aren't there for us when it matters. Well, I won't say my personal opinion on combining struggles, but if we could go on before I get tempted to say my own personal thoughts, I would appreciate it. So, Queer Socialist Working Group. This is a terrific thing for DSA. I think one of the things that can get lost is that DSA needs, and it's important for DSA to have groups like the Queer Socialist Working Group. We make DSA better. We need a strong, viable group that influences the larger organization and helps the larger organization. The same could be said for other things like, the socialist feminists and Afro-socialists and some other groups. But, we're here talking about the Queer Socialist Working Group this evening. And this is a vital part of socialism. It's not a side issue for socialism. It's at the heart of engaging in socialism adequately. If we could go on to the next slide. Everybody's probably caught on by now, but I don't actually read slides. I figure you're all looking at the screen and you can read them yourself. And it just makes more sense to comment on the slides. So, as a group, we all understand safe spaces for queer people and the need for queer people to work together and to socialize together so that we build each other and we help each other, and because we inherently understand each other. But it's also important that we work together to influence DSA, to explain what our issues are and how socialism needs to confront our issues, how it can help with our issues, both internally to organization and externally. It makes everything better. Next slide, please. So the big pitch: join the Queer Socialist Working Group. If you haven't already, it's something you really need to do. Make the Queer Socialist Working Group a strong, viable, active working group in DSA. It needs to be a major influence. We can be the largest queer activist group in the country if we want to be, and we should be. The queer community needs the socialist perspective. It is not neo-capitalism that's going to fix things for the queer community nationwide. Not only are they disinterested in doing that, they don't have the right answers. The right answers come from socialism. It's the only ideology that actually addresses all the issues. We cannot advance trans people and not advance workers. Trans people will be the least paid workers. We know that. We have to advance all workers. We can't advance rights for trans people and ignore rights for people of color. That's not how it works. We're one big group. We're not separate. Socialism is the answer to solving this. Anyone that's worked in the field on queer rights at some point gets frustrated by thinking of these as single issue subjects. We can't solve it that way. This, by the way, is my soapbox I was trying to avoid a minute ago. But anyway, please join the working group. Please make it a big thing. It ought to be. If you go on to the next slide, please. Besides being a member of the Queer Socialist Working Group, which I'm greatly honored to be, and thank you all for inviting me to speak a little bit here at the beginning. I also happen to be on the campaign committee for the Trans Rights and Bodily Autonomy / Abortion, TRBACC campaign. Thank you, Rose. I appreciate it. I'm very excited about this campaign. Besides what it's addressing, that's addressing multiple issues at the same time, so that we can start working beyond the rule that's kept us on single issues for decades, where we're told that's the professional way to do things. It's not about being a professional, it's about limiting what we can accomplish. As we cross these boundaries, that's when we start to address things as a socialist, my opinion, again. But it's a great campaign. We intend to start reaching out to all the chapters. Please, you're more than welcome to contact me inside the Queer Socialist Discord. If you want to go ahead and start making contact on how you can help, we intend to reach out to the chapters and and try to actually build a national alliance of people engaged in a campaign. And I'm very dedicated to making it a fighting campaign. That's what we need right now. That's what I want to push right now. And I hope a lot of you are interested in that. So we're going to get right to the speakers. They're important people here tonight. I've talked more than enough. NC Triangle, if you could tell us what queer work you've been doing.
Yeah, sure. I think my slide deck is in here. Ray, if you want to advance the slides, or I can share, I suppose, although I wasn't prepared to. I'll just share. It's not a problem. One sec. Sorry for the delay here. And let me share my screen. Apologies for the technical difficulties. There we go. All right. All right, yeah, so sorry about the delay there. My name's Charlotte. I'm with the Queer Trans Solidarity Working Group of the North Carolina Triangle DSA. So we are the chapter's basically queer socialist working group equivalent. And we've been at this for about a year and a half now. I'll start off by going into kind of how we got started here. So somewhere around like a year and 9 months ago or something like that, Allie, the illustrious co-chair of the National Queer Solidarity Working Group, put out a call for solidarity rallies to be held around Trans Day of Visibility with trans youth in Texas. This was back around when Ken Paxton and Greg Abbott had decided that youth transition was effectively child abuse, and so they were going to sic child protective services on families that dared help their kids transition, which is horrible, obviously. And so 3 of us from the North Carolina Triangle DSA answered that call and started to organize. We basically got kicked off by reaching out within DSA and to outside groups that we were aware of that might have sympathetic members, and as well as just like individuals we knew who might be interested, to form a rally planning committee. We ended up finding, I think, like about 10 or so people in total. And within a few months, we managed to put together a trans solidarity rally around the start of April. So this was a 3-part thing consisting of an initial rally, then a march, and then lastly a party in downtown Raleigh where, trans people could just celebrate our existence and also just like meet up with each other and maybe plan stuff. We had 5 speakers in total. They all ended up being leftists, even though we did reach out to a couple NGOs. Like, none of them actually got back to us, and frankly, I think it was probably for the better. In total, I think we had around 150 people attending, which was frankly better than we expected. People seemed to really care about it. I wasn't actually able to make it myself. I had COVID, so people tell me it was a success. I assume this is true. But no, in all seriousness, it seemed to go over very well. And so after that, we really wanted to keep that momentum that we had built going. And so after kind of deliberating what to do about that, we ended up organizing as a group within the DSA, deciding to organize as a group within the DSA. There were a few things that drove that. A big one, honestly, was access to resources. The DSA already has a lot of infrastructure in place, and that was going to be really useful for us and has been really useful for us. In addition, I mean, as Emma pointed out, like, socialism is pretty integral to actually getting anywhere with queer and trans efforts. And the big tent aspect of the DSA also was pretty welcoming, given that we tend to come from a lot of us were from multiple tendencies. And yeah, for the most part, most of the people who were on the committee did end up joining the DSA. As I kind of mentioned, not everybody initially was in there, but we ended up bringing a lot of us into the fold. So once we did this, we needed to figure out a direction. And after deliberating for a while, we decided to organize around a central campaign. And for that, we looked at establishing a name change fund. The basic goals for this was because basically that name changes are something that make a material difference in trans people's lives. You're probably all aware of this, but if you have the right documentation, it really increases your safety by a lot and reduces the risk of discrimination. If somebody asks for your ID and it matches the name you've been giving them and the sex you've been telling them that you are, you're much less likely to be on the receiving end of discrimination or even violence than if they don't. So it's a really important thing. Unfortunately, though, it's not cheap. In North Carolina, the raw cost for a name change is, I think, $125. But then you've got background checks, you've got fingerprints for the background checks, you've got to replace your documents, and all of that costs money. In total, it ends up coming to over $200. So we thought about thinking about this. We realized that, given the overall population rates of trans people, it would be really pretty easy for the city or county to set aside a small grant like $5,000 to cover the costs. And we could get like 20 or 40 people that way. And honestly, that would be a significant help. So we did some research and reached out to the LGBTQ Center of Durham. They have a name change fund, and but the thing is, it doesn't have a regular source of funding. At one point this year, it actually was empty. So they were more than ready to welcome our help there. So yeah, that's kind of how we've been organizing around that. In general, we've kept pretty busy since we started. Our membership has fluctuated between 5 and 10 members. People come and go, and also life comes at you fast, honestly, especially for queer people. And in the course of our organizing, we've done a series of both internal and external actions. And I'll go over some of those that we did to give you some idea of what you can do as a queer working group. So I'll start off with the internal actions. There's a few things we've done. One of probably the most basic, but honestly a really important one, is we had a social pretty early on, which really helped us kind of form bonds and camaraderie amongst ourselves. Then around Christmas last year, we did some letter writing to queer prisoners, which the chapter was invited to, which allowed us to kind of, actually show queer people on the inside some love for a bit around the holiday season, as well as, again, help form bonds. Another one we did in the wake of the Club Q shooting, there was obviously a lot of concern for people's safety around then, so we decided that it would be a good idea to organize a queer self-defense training. We found a local MMA artist MMA fighter who was willing to give a class on a sliding scale. And we ended up getting about 20 people or so. This was a really successful event. It seems like there's a pretty strong demand for that kind of thing. Most of our efforts, though, really have been focused on external facing actions. So I'll talk about some of the ones that are specifically focused on our name change campaign first. We kind of kicked this off back in February with a joint teaching with the LGBTQ Center of Durham. They talked about name changes and kind of, what you need to do there and to get one, and also why they're important and, why they matter for trans people in particular. And I discussed, I discussed queer socialism. We also met with the city councilor and got to discuss this, and we've done several other actions. I've been told I'm over, so I'll skip ahead. You can read the slides. It's pretty straightforward. We've also participated in a variety of other actions. And yeah, just to wrap up really quick, the big benefit of having a queer working group is to fundamentally ensure that queer and trans concerns don't get lost. And partnering with other working groups really helps for that. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Charlotte. That's some awesome stuff you all are doing out there. I can tell everybody's very excited about it. I believe Iowa City is up next. Would you like to step up, Iowa City?
Hey, I'm ready. Okay, so hello, my name is Maria Jose Plata Flores, but I go by MJ. I was born in Bogota, Colombia, and I am the co-chair of Iowa City. I used to be the leader of the Socialist Feminist Campaign. Most of the things that I am sure, actually all the things that we've done and that I am going to present about that we've done this year were done by the Socialist Feminist Working Group. And I'm very sorry, I'm a bit nervous. But other actions were taken by our young DSA. We, for now, do not have a properly a queer working group, but the Socialist Feminist Working Group has taken in many of the trans folks that are part of the chapter. I use they them non-pronouns. I am non-binary. If you could go ahead with the slides. I didn't prepare the presentation thinking about like the origins of the chapter. I just want to tell you about the different things that the Iowa City DSA chapter has done related to queer matters in the city. So I don't know if you remember, but on April 19, the University of Iowa had let the Young Americans for Freedom invite and let the people invite Matt Walsh, who the infamous theocratic fascist that has made life for trans people much more difficult. And a young DSA took part on the organization of the counter-protest exercises. There was a shakathon from Monday till the day of the presentation, till the day that he was presented on the building. That was a Wednesday. We are also organizing a campaign to get the charges dropped because that day some people let loose some marbles and those protesters were arrested and criminalized. So we are working with them, trying to get the university and our local DA to drop the charges, but we haven't advanced as much as we wish on that regard. We can go to the next slide now. Also, Iowa City doesn't have properly a Pride March. The city has a Pride, not festival, parade. It has a Pride parade. In May, the Socialist Feminist Working Group, when we met, we agreed that the city needed a march, a proper march, and not just a parade, because the parade is organized by the city. It is very pro our mayors. It's very neoliberal. So we wanted to make, since this is a proposal that came from the, thank you, Shara. Since this is a proposal that came from the Socialist sorry, it's just that I am getting very distracted by the chat. So we focused our organization of this march around making it anti-capitalist, anti-corporate interest. That is why most of the time of the organization of the march was creating that banner that you see in the picture. It said, corporate profits fill few pockets, embrace queer solidarity. And it was a great event. It is the first time that we did, but we got to participate with other queer groups of Iowa, like the only LGBTQ plus archive of Iowa and the Iowa Trans Mutual Aid Fund. We had cool speakers. The turnout wasn't as big as we thought as the parade, obviously, but we did table at the parade because we thought that we didn't want to exist, like necessarily to boycott the parade, because it is an opportunity for a lot of people of the community to like show and have a good time, and we don't want to take that away from the community, although it does frustrate us how much profiting comes from the parade. We just want to create other options for other people that have the same like icky feeling when they go to a parade. We can go to the next slide. Fairfield, our branch. Fairfield is a small town here in Iowa. Fairfield is its own. It is not its own chapter, but they are a branch of the Iowa City chapter. They organized a rally where they have, and it was really cool because since we are basically different DSAs, we decided to collaborate. And Micah, who is the other co-chair, who has been the most active in the National Queer Liberation Working Group, also was there. We both went there as speakers, and we had the opportunity to like enjoy an event that was hosted by seeing other acquainted folks in a different city, which was a great experience. And I think that for Fairfield being such a small town, having this rally, because they don't have even a pride parade, was really meaningful, and we really appreciate the work that Fairfield did on this event. And we can go to the next slide. We also participated in a con made by a grassroots organization called Corridor Community Action Network Con 2023. That is Micah and I. And we also took the opportunity of this event that was organized by another group, another grassroots organization that is very local, to take advantage of a little like a script that I already have about the queer artist and researcher Giuseppe Campuzano. I was able to get a lecture, and the essay gave the space for other people to do lectures too. We opened it for more people. I was the only one that could do the lecture, but the Corridor Community Action Network Con gave this space for anyone that to join. It is like the second or third edition of this con, and we're looking forward to participate and have more people doing lectures on that event. And we can go ahead with the next slide. I want to take a moment to talk about Micah Covington, our co-chair, and also our representative for the 2023 convention, National DSA Convention. Micah is currently our other co-chair, and aside from being a trans woman, she also has a very rare genetic illness called cystinosis, and because of the cystinosis she has had multiple like renal problems, like things related to her kidneys. She went through a procedure last Friday. That is why she didn't join us today. She not only does a lot of advocacy inside the group, but she also does a lot of awareness by fighting for herself to be able to access the treatment that she needs. And I just need 1 second for the next slide of what we are. We are looking forward to the Reproductive Rights Trans Liberation Campaign. Our Socialist Feminist Working Group is probably gonna take the lead on that. We want to continue with the People's Pride March. We felt that it is important to do a an exercise of memory and remembrance that wasn't part of the march that we organized in 2023. But that is what we're looking forward to. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you very much, MJ. That was great. You were awesome. Louisville DSA is up next. I have to say that I've been meaning to order one of your T-shirts. I haven't gotten around to it yet. I apologize. I will be though. Awesome T-shirts.
Are you talking about the squid T-shirts?
The squid T-shirt. That's
okay. Awesome. Great. It's good to hear. I helped design it. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and put my presentation up here. I'm Allison. I'm the comms chair for the Louisville Democratic Socialists. I'm the interim co-manager of the squid group, but we're kind of in a transition mode right now. So please bear with me. I'm approaching this more from a comms perspective, and I'm going to share a lot of visuals with you and kind of highlight some things that we've been doing, and then reflect a little bit at the end and what the future of squid might actually be. So a little background, if you're not familiar, SB 150 is a law that was passed in March 2023 to tax the queer and trans community. And these are just kind of like summarizing the four main points. Obviously, it limits life-saving gender-affirming healthcare. It prohibits age-appropriate education about gender and sexuality. It has detrimental bathroom policies, and it also allows teachers to misgender their students. That's kind of like the quick and dirty of what SB 150 is. So what is SQUID? We're the Socialist Queer Worker and Youth Defense. It's a priority campaign that came out of the Paul Ed Committee of the LDSA, and it was created in April. We're committed to educating the general public about SB 150, listening to the concerns of that community, the LGBTQIA+ community.
I'm sorry, Allison, can I interrupt? Are you moving your slides right now? Because I can't, it's just
the
title slide.
Oh no, can you not see anything?
No, it just looks like the title slide to me.
Oh no, okay. Let me see if I can figure this out. Let's see, I'm gonna stop share, and then I'm gonna try again. Let's see what happens. Do you see it now?
It's not sharing right now.
Okay, let me share again. I'm so sorry. That's unfortunate. Okay. Do you see it now?
I've got a getting started slide.
Okay, good. So you are seeing it. Okay, it just wasn't accepting. There we go. It just wasn't accepting the full screen mode for some reason. It wanted to be in this just regular view. Anyways, so that was the slide about SB 150. That was the slide about squid, and I think that's where we stopped. We're also committed to supporting workers affected by SB 150, and we want to focus on the effects of SB 150 on schools and other workplaces. So first of all, getting started, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we had to do before we could even start doing what we wanted to do. Of course, we had to assign campaign roles. We developed a name and a logo. We developed boilerplate, or to summarize what SB 150 is and the goals and functions of SQUID and how the public can get involved. And then we also had to recruit and engage members. So the boilerplate, you already heard some of that about SB 150. That's the boilerplate, and then also how to get involved. Anytime you see like the little asterisks with some like purple type, sometimes it's white, that's kind of like the nuts and bolts of what we did to do that. So I kind of go into like, how did we get them to stay informed? How did we make their voice heard? How did they show their support? And those were just three kind of levers we pulled in order to get people involved. So I want to make it very clear that like SQUID had a working class message from the start, that we were taking a different approach, that often, neoliberal capitalists rhetoric is that, you know, you have to ask for, you know, rights from these capitalist bodies and these undemocratic institutions. And we focus more on like, okay, well, how do we leverage the power of the working class and unions to actually affect change? And when you really start to think about it and wonder like, oh, well, what if all teachers and all schools were educated about what this is and could protect their students and together had the power to and to say to their administrations and their counties and their school boards, we're not complying with this. We're going to protect our students, right? So then that kind of goes into what this slide is about, is what that working class power could be. Okay, so now this is the comm side where I'm going to just show you some visuals, the stuff that we did to go out into the field and actually like communicate with people and do outreach. So this is Rose. This is our logo. This is where she started. This is where she ended. It was a labor of love. And then this is our sanctuary symbol. This started with research and then initial concepts. And this is where the final symbol ended. Okay. These are some sanctuary symbol materials. The signs are available for download on our website. And we just ordered these stickers and we're hoping to distribute them to teachers in the coming months. So these are our tabling materials. There's a larger sign, flyers about an upcoming town hall, a push card about the campaign. Those are our buttons, our rose button and our sanctuary symbol buttons. And then maybe something that might be helpful to you is having a clipboard with QR codes that will take them to all the actions that they can like make to become either a part of the campaign or to take something away from the campaign. This is our website, and you're welcome to visit it. And the only section I'm going to call out is like the resources section was like important to me. I felt like we had to add that and in order to truly represent that, like we understand what's going on for this community. Okay, so now I'm going to briefly go over some of the activities and actions that we did as a group. So first of all, we tabled to have conversations with the general public. And again, I'm going to call out using QR codes to lead to individual actionable web pages. We joined other organizations and spoke at rallies. At this particular rally, we distributed sanctuary symbol posters that we had donated from a local printer. We led town hall discussions, a couple of those, and just so we can like have conversations about the issues, like what the solutions might be, what their concerns are. We conducted peer-to-peer fundraising using donor box peer-to-peer fundraising tools. And I was very like detail oriented, like use these social media images to promote this. Like this is how you need to set up your page. And this is the lovely Joe Smiley, one of our members, modeling the shirt when it came in. We also, a big thing that we did is we attended several JCPS board meetings, which were having discussions about how do we implement this law. And we created talking points for people who wanted to speak. And we also did have someone on the JCPS board, Dr. Chris Kolb, who was a very, very powerful voice against this law. And then we also made statements about some of the legislative things that were happening in Kentucky and also what happened with the JCPS board. Okay, so I'm going to end by reflecting back and looking forward a little bit. So what were our challenges? I think the biggest one is that people entered the group not familiar with DSA and on labor focus and working class strategy, and they wanted to like go, you know, picket at like legislators, like offices, and like, you know, they wanted to focus on legislators and judicial solutions. And we had to be like, no, that's like, we can't do that. We can't waste our time doing this. This is our alternate kind of like pathway. And it was hard to kind of teach that. And people left, like, they were just like, no, like, we want to do it the way that neoliberal, you know, capitalists are doing it. And so in response, we made this very like comprehensive introductory guide. And some of that guide was in the beginning of the presentation. So that is directly in the guide for new members. Another challenge is that I'm sure you know, any volunteer-led group, there's a lot of fatigue that sets in, leadership shifts, and I think particularly for this issue, people who are uniquely qualified to do this work are very close to the issue, right? And I know it can be very like affirming of their identity, but I also think it can be emotionally exhausting. And I think in moments like that, we have to like show a lot of grace to our comrades and be ready to kind of pick up that mantle and figure out a way forward. And that kind of happened with our group. So we're in a transitional period right now. That's why the comms manager is like speaking to you instead of like the campaign manager. And now that I've made this presentation, I'm kind of excited about where this is going to go next. Okay, successes, small and large. I think we really did educate the public. Like, we approached it that way. That was what we wanted to accomplish in the first place. Again, I was very proud of the resources that we put together on the website. Our efforts have been noticed by other DSA chapters, and we're happy to share those resources. Rose is very friendly. And the school board stuff was huge. Like, I don't know if the coverage would have happened in the news, if those conversations would have been had by those board members, if we did not have Chris Kolb on that board, and if we had not shown up to those meetings and empowered parents, teachers, students, youth, and community members to join us and to advocate against this law and for that community. So most importantly, and I think we can all talk about this, we can all say we've done this, is we've created at least a little more space in the Louisville area for the queer and trans community to feel safe and listened to. So the future of SQUID, real quick, we're focused on organizing teachers. That's kind of where we're hoping these next steps will take us. We're developing a one-page teacher resource guide that will make a clear path from educator to organizer. We're formulating a plan to distribute that guide along with sanctuary symbol signs and stickers to teachers using our connections in the JCTA. And we're hoping to partner with JCTA to resist SB 150 through contract negotiations, and then hopefully replicate this organizing model to other workers and unions, and then hopefully expand the strategy to the rest of Kentucky. Thank you. So I don't know how long that took me, but whew.
Yeah, we're all having to really rush through a lot of material.
Yeah.
But we do have some time coming up for questions. So if you have some questions, feel free to go ahead and start typing them into the question and answer box, separate from the chat, the question and answer box. Particularly if you're a slow typist, go ahead and get started. I want to say thank you again to all of our guests. Not only did you do great presentations, the work you're doing is clearly very important and very needed, and I'm sure very appreciated locally. Maybe if somebody could drop the link to join the Queer Socialist Working Group in the chat again. If you haven't joined yet, at least save the link so that you can join. Be sure to follow up with joining. If we can't explain the importance of queer socialism, who can? And getting together in the working group is an important way to start making sure that can happen. I just can't stress that enough. Join the working group, be active in the working group, help it accomplish things, help it be a major force in DSA. I'm going to hand this off to a great comrade from the working group that's going to start helping with the Q&A. Chiara?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited. It's great presentations today. So first, we have a couple of really great questions in the Q&A. If you have been sitting on a question, go ahead and drop it now. But I want to raise this question. I was thinking of a good thing to ask everyone, and Binks, they in Chicago had a really good one I want to raise to everybody. So they live in Chicago, and their government there is not quite as hostile to trans and queer people. So they're wondering, what can Chicago DSA do for comrades in nearby communities? And I'm assuming perhaps like the rest of the country. So does anyone want to take that on?
I can take a stab at it. So there's a few things. One, I mean, like mutual aid is always welcome. If you see people in neighboring areas putting out calls for assistance, like that is always a decent thing you can do. Another thing that has been useful in states that have been more friendly is working to get protections and stuff in place. For instance, Minnesota recently passed a set of laws that essentially establish it as sort of a trans sanctuary state. So pushing for those kinds of things at the legislative level could potentially be useful. Alternatively, I believe there are some groups looking to set up like mutual aid networks for helping people escape places, get out of places, that are hostile to them and safely move. That's another option. Just off the top of my head, those are a few things I can think of.
Awesome. And then I'll take a stab at it too. I would say like something like larger, big developed chapters can do is help smaller chapters with like increasing their capacity, like maybe like skill sharing or like proactively reaching out, say maybe to folks in like the Southeast or different parts of the country. And then also probably helping grow this working group. And I think there'll be lots of opportunities to go to do that as it grows. Allison, go ahead. And then I have another question after that. But Allison.
Yeah, I lived in Chicago for 15 years, and yeah, it's a completely different city than Louisville. Louisville's great, but yeah, love Chicago. I would say that Chicago is a 5-hour drive, right? But Illinois is a little more trans friendly in general, right? My boyfriend has a trans son, and something that we talk about a lot is like what's going to happen when he gets to an age where he needs care, and we talk about going to Illinois. So I don't know if it's about like kind of positioning the Chicago DSA as supporting that kind of sanctuary, for surrounding states, but we need you. Like we need Illinois, and we need those states to stay strong and to know that they're there to help us.
Absolutely. Does anyone else want to go? And then we have a question about teachers and queer advocacy. Okay, so the next question is from someone anonymous, and they said, how do you think we can utilize teachers in order to introduce queer advocacy to students in their classrooms? And I'd like to bounce this to Allison.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think, where we are now in Kentucky is we're trying, it's a stopgap. Like we're in an ameliorative state where we're literally just trying to make sure that children that are trans children feel safe, queer children feel safe, right? And that has to do with like organizing teachers around like knowing their students' rights, knowing their rights, and how they can like protect these children. Now, when it comes to like teaching other students about queer advocacy, like sure, like I think that's great, and I hope we get to that eventually. But right now, like we are just hoping that teachers will kind of like join forces and pressure their administrations and their school boards to like really address this issue and not just comply.
Awesome. A really great group I heard about recently was called Stop Moms for Liberty. And it's mostly teachers. So we have a question. How can we help people understand the link between queer advocates? Okay, it went away. Queer advocacy and abolishing capitalism. Emma, do you think you want to answer this one?
I'd love a little bit of time to speak about that, because that's one of my current drums that I like to beat over and over. Historically, and I'm not going to use the matching language, but American capitalism has been noted as being especially resilient and having some important differences, at least historically. Yeah, I think most of us could point to issues of capitalism, people of color, particularly African American people, Black people in the U.S. I think we could start jumping into that pretty easily, but it's a lot harder for most people, queer or not, to address the queer issue. One of the things I like to point to is if you live in a sexist country and a racist country and whatever else we want to add to that list, how do you control the people that aren't that? How do you control the white cis, het men? What cudgel do you hold over their head? And it's nonconformity. If you look back a little bit, you can see the word queer being used in a wider way. When it was used as a pejorative, being used in a wider way than LGBT, it was not fitting in. It was being different somehow, not conforming. So this not conforming to patriarchal values and stuff. That's a vital importance to sustaining capitalism. That's why it's such a big deal. I also think you can look historically at the queer community being pushed into black market work, illegal work, gray market work. And on the one hand, you have people that are being pushed into these spheres where you can both control them and have them do officially disapproved work that the state still actually wants. And on the other hand, you have a reserve working force. So if the non-oppressed people start gaining too much power, you can lower the standards for allowing the oppressed people to enter the workforce and reduce wages or power or whatever. And we've seen that. You can easily read socialist union history and stuff and see examples of that.
Super. That was some sharp analysis. Now Spencer, him asked, how can the Queer Socialist Working Group support and interface with the Trans Rights and Bodily Autonomy campaign and help build a more interconnected nationwide movement within and beyond DSA? Emma, you just went, but you're on Turback. Do you want to take a stab at this, or does anyone else want to chime in?
Yeah, if y'all don't mind hearing from me again. I mean, that's part of what we have to do for the bodily autonomy campaign. If you don't mind me shortening it for a second, we're going to have to build a mechanism for chapters to work together. At least one other previous campaign has tried to do that, but if we're going to succeed, we're going to have to do it. The Queer Socialist Working Group, the way they're tackling building the group is also doing that. I mean, bringing these chapters in to talk about what they're doing is not just educating other chapters about what they could do, but we're starting to build awareness of who's doing what and who's where, who the players are, how we can work together. I mean, as this goes on and it builds and we know who's who and what the local issues are, I think it'll start to snowball.
Totally. And I'll answer it super quick, and then I'm going to bounce back to you, which is I think that, like in our chapters, we can take on campaigns, we can like do some of the work like people talked about earlier, and just get ready to link up with a campaign. And then also, if you want to help the Queer Socialist Working Group nationally, I would suggest getting involved in coming to the general meetings and getting engaged with it, because that's going to be how we build it up. Is we're the people doing it. But Emma, would you mind maybe helping us wrap up the call?
Oh, yeah, sure, absolutely.
Going back to you again.
Yeah, everybody's going to be really tired of me. Thanks, Chiara. You did an awesome job, a great comrade. Again, please get that link, join the group, get your friends in the group, start building a local organization, working group, whatever, or just get some comrades that are interested in doing something and get them into the group. and let's build something really cool. I think it's well within our power to do, and we can change the face of queer organizing nationally if we just do it. I want to thank everybody for coming. Thanks for spending your night this way, and everybody have a great night. See you in the Discord.
Recording stopped.
Yay.
All right. They kicked me out. We always wait until they kick us out because you never know what they're going to say after the recording stops. Wow. Okay. So originally, I felt bad for that person that was leading that training, because I was like, you can tell this person is sad. Like, they seem like a nice enough person. They just want friends. They just want to be accepted. I think a lot of socialists are just like they're not, like, a lot of socialists, and I truly and sincerely mean this, they're not bad people. They're really not bad people. A lot of them are just useful idiots. A lot of them are kind of like they've fallen in with this crowd and they've been being taken advantage of, and that guy with the trans woman with the southern drawl that was leading the train. I was like, oh, this person, I feel bad for this person. I don't want to make fun of this person. And then at the end, when I asked them about the relationship between queer advocacy and capitalism, when that person busted out with the non-queer people have to be assigned the undesirable labor. Did everyone catch that? I have listened to thousands of hours of socialism now. And I have never heard one of them say, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the exact wording, but the gist of it was, in the socialist utopia, the non-queer people are going to be assigned the undesirable labor. Like being the garbage man, or like the sewage man, or like yo, that was a new one. I do also want to congratulate the folks over in Louisville for giving us their plan to organize the teachers to protect the trans kids from their parents, and to utilize the teachers to make school a safe space for the trans kids, because of course we know that socialists believe that trans kids are not safe in their own home because they don't believe that parental rights should exist. Fun times, guys. Fun times. So that was Spy Stream for tonight. There's gonna be some unpacking that I need to do after this. I need to think about this. I need to review some notes. I thought that was a really eventful training. Some of it, and it's also just funny sometimes to see how socialists work, because like socialists are so awkward. They're crazy. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining me for Spy Stream today. If this is your first Spy Stream, I hope you will consider joining us for future Spy Streams. We have got a doozy of a Spy Stream coming up next week. I can't tell you what it is, but it is early next week. And you're going to want to see this Spy Stream. We are so the other day, I introduced you to this person, the queer psychotherapist that is training mental health providers in the state of New York. Now, this person is in the kink community. This person is a former sex worker. This person works with polyamorous couples and talks about BDSM and stuff like that. And so I thought, you know what we need? We need a good socialist, sex positive, queer liberation spy stream. And so I found one. And we're doing it next week. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm not going to tell you when it is, because we're not giving that away. And the only way that you are going to be able to attend that spy stream is by becoming a member on my Substack for $8 a month, $80 a year. Spy streams actually do cost money. A lot of these things, not this socialist one we watched tonight, but a lot of the spy streams actually do cost me money to register for. Of course, everything I do is funded out of the Substack. So if you want to support the work I'm doing and get access to all of my perks, including the supporter-only spy streams, like the one we did earlier today, we did a great supporter spy stream before this DSA one. Head over to my Substack, sign up for $8 a month, $80 a year. You can also also join my locals, my Patreon, Twitter subscriptions, YouTube channel membership. Those will get you in as well. And when you become a subscriber on the Substack, you are also going to get access to the biggest woke infiltration I've ever done. And this is a multi-day woke teacher training seminar, multi-day. And it is going to show you, I can't tell you guys what it is, but it's a good one. It's going to be before the end of the year. And the only way to get access to that is, again, by becoming a supporter on my Substack. And you're going to get to experience the infiltration live. Kino is helping me with it. He's volunteering. It's going to be huge. The biggest, it's going to be even better than the socialism conference, guys. It's going to be better than the socialism conference. That's how good this is. Kino says, check email. I have a list of Kentucky schools they're targeting. Thank you, Kino. I do appreciate that. Guys, that is all I have for today. Please mount that like button on the way out the door. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I'm going to go enjoy this Candace Owens Ben Shapiro fight on Twitter. Maybe I'll go live later tonight to watch the Candace Owens Tucker Carlson interview, that I'm sure is going to make Ben Shapiro happy, and do a little debrief on the war at the Daily Wire. Come on, we've all done something right. Can I just say, we've all done something right to be graced with the war of the Daily Wire. Like the clouds have opened, the hallelujah chorus is singing down from the sky. I almost want to go on Twitter and go, Christ is king, mother effers, even though I don't really believe in that. I mean, I'm cool with Jesus and everything, but I don't do this Christ is king stuff. But I might drop a Christ is king in support of the feud at the Daily Wire. Just because. And I know it'll make people like Beth happy if I say it. The Daily Wire is spiraling. It's so great. It's amazing. All right, guys. I may do a stream later tonight to watch that Candace Owens Tucker Carlson interview. I may not too, but regardless, I will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern time for another stream. Thank you guys for spending some time with me this evening. I really do appreciate it. Take care. We'll see you soon.